So I want you to imagine, just for a second, standing in a massive, completely empty field.
Okay, an empty field. I'm with you.
Right. And you have $0 in your bank account, zero political leverage, and absolutely no land to your name.
Sounds incredibly stressful,
Yeah,
honestly.
exactly. But now imagine standing in the center of that field and declaring to the world that you are about to, like, literally change the planetary weather system.
Oh, wow. Just the weather.
Not just the weather.
Yeah.
You're saying you'll eradicate global poverty and fundamentally reset the entire human timeline.
Right. I mean, you would be called completely delusional.
Totally delusional. But what if you could actually convince thousands of people to just drop everything, walk into that empty field, and follow you?
Well, I mean, it requires a highly sophisticated psychological architecture
Yeah.
to build an empire out of thin air like that.
Yeah.
Because when you lack traditional resources, like supply chains or treasuries or armies,
Yeah.
you aren't just selling a basic policy change.
Right. It's way deeper than that.
Exactly. You are attempting to convince people that the invisible ideological foundations you're laying down are inherently stronger than the actual concrete sidewalks they walk on every single day.
Which is just a wild concept. And that's exactly what we're getting into today. We are doing a deep dive into a translated manifesto that attempts to construct, exactly that kind of invisible foundation.
It's a fascinating text.
It really is. So the text is titled "Infinite Beauty Lies in Perilous Heights, an Inspirational Message to the Celestial Academicians." And it's by an author named Sweffing.
Right.
Our mission for this deep dive is to basically unpack the blueprint of a movement known as Lifechanyuan. We're going to look at how this specific text synthesizes some vastly diverse global philosophies, how it fiercely rejects modern materialism, and how it promises a literally utopian future.
Yeah, it really provides a distinct window into how these grand ideological movements structure their appeals to everyday people.
Totally.
And to truly grasp the mechanics of this text, I want you, the listener, to just visualize the sheer audacity required to declare a completely new era for humanity.
It's bold. Very bold.
I mean, think about the strategic framing required to pivot the trajectory of the human race while openly admitting, hey, we have absolutely no material wealth.
Yeah, it's like you're asking people to navigate a dense fog, but instead of handing them a flashlight, you're telling them that their internal conviction will, somehow just illuminate the path.
That's a great way to put it. And the destination they are promising isn't just an incremental improvement to modern society either.
No, not at all. The movement aims to lead humanity into what they call the Lifechanyuan era.
Right, the Lifechanyuan era.
And the text promises this genuinely radiant new world encompassing everything from, like, peaceful lives and universal happiness to a total end to strife, deceit, despair, poverty, the whole works.
They really leave nothing out.
Yeah. They envision completely transparent governance and a flourishing humanity. It's like they're trying to build a real-life Garden of Eden, seamlessly integrated with a perfectly governed modern society.
Exactly.
But, I mean, it sounds beautiful, but history is full of utopian promises, right?
Yeah.
What makes their specific framing of this radiant era unique?
Well, what's really fascinating here is the sheer scale. They aren't just promising spiritual peace.
Right.
They're explicitly promising a shift in the physical environment. The text claims this new era will feature kind weather and entirely harmonious ecosystems.
Wait, really? Kind weather?
Yeah, they are suggesting a tangible mechanical link between human behavior and planetary function.
That is wild. The idea that human morality dictates barometric pressure definitely needs some unpacking.
It does, yeah.
Are they suggesting like a metaphorical harmony or an actual physical mechanism where being a morally upright person somehow stops a hurricane from forming?
It's the latter. The manifesto frames this as a literal mechanical relationship.
Oh.
Yeah. They believe in what they call the golden principles underlying the universe's workings. The internal logic of the text really relies on this concept of cosmic resonance.
Cosmic resonance.
Right. So if the universe naturally operates on a specific vibrational frequency of harmony and order, then human strife, deceit, and greed emit this disruptive, chaotic frequency.
Ah, I see.
And that localized human disruption creates friction, which then manifests in the physical world as extreme weather, natural disasters, or ecological collapse.
So it's literally our fault it's storming.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
By correcting the human moral course, you remove the interference.
So it's kind of like tuning the human frequency to match the cosmos, like tuning a guitar string to match a piano. And once they match, the planet's physical systems just naturally stabilize.
That is exactly the underlying mechanism. Utopia becomes a cosmic inevitability rather than a difficult legislative goal that you have to debate in a parliament.
Right, you don't need a climate bill if everyone is just spiritually aligned.
Exactly. If you align with these golden principles, the friction just disappears. The weather becomes kind because the chaotic variables which are introduced by human selfishness have simply been removed from the planetary equation.
But tuning that human frequency across an entire population, I mean, that is a staggering burden to place on individuals.
It's massive.
Because the followers tasked with initiating this resonance are called the celestial academicians, right?
Yes, the celestial academicians.
And the text outlines this incredibly stringent way of life for them just to maintain this alignment. The recurring mantra is, as long as we live.
Right, as long as we live.
Like, as long as we live, they must relentlessly climb toward life's highest realms and consistently showcase the absolute best of human nature.
And accomplishing a cosmic reset requires absolute dedication. A casual participant just cannot generate the necessary frequency to change the world.
No weekend warriors allowed.
Exactly. The text draws a very hard line regarding what these celestial academicians must actively reject on a daily basis.
Right, like they refuse to sacrifice their principles for mere survival.
Yep.
They refuse to wander blindly in the desert like their ancestors,
No.
or live as these hollow souls focused solely on material gain.
It's a total rejection of the norm.
Yeah, and they also explicitly refuse to sell their souls for short-term gains or trade their dignity for charity. They absolutely refuse to be manipulated by what they call a muddied and noisy world.
Notice the specific phrasing there. They are targeting the everyday moral compromises that, most people just have to make to survive in a capitalist framework.
Yeah, I want to drill down on that absolute refusal to sacrifice principles for survival.
Okay, let's do it.
Because it sounds super inspiring to say you won't trade dignity for charity, but let's look at the mechanics of living in a modern city.
Right, the day-to-day.
Yeah. You still need shelter. You still need to buy groceries. You still have to pay electricity bills.
Unfortunately, yes.
So how does a movement expect people to maintain absolute ideological purity while navigating the extremely practical reality of a society built on the exact material transactions they are supposed to be rejecting?
Well, they solved that logistical problem with a really profound psychological re-engineering of struggle itself.
Oh, interesting. How so?
By demanding that followers radiate grace and progress each day, the text basically transforms ordinary, exhausting daily hardships into this epic, heroic battle.
Okay, I think I see where this is going.
Yeah. So if you are struggling to pay your rent because you refuse to compromise your ethics for a promotion at work, the manifesto rewrites that narrative for you. You aren't failing under capitalism. You are succeeding at spiritual supremacy.
Oh, wow. So it's a complete cognitive reframing of struggle.
Exactly.
Instead of feeling marginalized by the economic system, you view your marginalization as empirical evidence of your spiritual elevation.
Think about you, the listener, for a moment, just navigating your own career and your bills. When you feel constantly beaten down by a noisy, demanding world that asks you to compromise your values all the time, a text like this offers a radical alternative.
It really flips the script.
It does. It tells you that your refusal to play the game is actually a victory. It takes the very common, very painful feeling of being left behind by modern society and weaponizes it into a sense of profound cosmic purpose.
That is so powerful for someone who feels stuck.
It is. It provides a framework where poverty or a lack of social status isn't a deficit anymore. It's literally the cost of admission to a higher realm.
But living in that constant state of friction with the material world, I mean, that requires a massive anchor, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
If you're going to intentionally marginalize yourself for this cosmic cause, you need a highly functional belief system to keep you from just completely burning out.
Yes, you need a very strong foundation.
And this necessity brings us to the text's theological foundation, which establishes a reverence for the greatest creator as the sole ruler of the universe.
Right. And placing a single entity at the absolute apex serves a distinct functional purpose within their architecture.
How so?
Well, the text states this absolute reverence ensures humility and effectively shields followers from arrogance and lawlessness.
Okay, that makes sense.
It establishes a hard ceiling on human ego. No matter how high a celestial academician climbs in their spiritual journey, they are never at the very top.
So a single highest power makes sense structurally to keep the movement unified.
Exactly.
But, okay, the pantheon of figures they honor underneath that creator, this is one of the most unusual syntheses of historical and religious figures I have ever encountered.
It is definitely unique.
I mean, they honor Jesus, labeling him the king of humanity. They include Shakyamuni the Buddha as the embodiment of wisdom.
Right.
Mohammed is recognized as a model of faith, and Laozi as the profound expositor of the Tao.
All major towering figures.
Right. But then they include Mao Zedong, recognizing him as one whose heart bore the sufferings of the downtrodden.
Yeah, that's one that usually catches people off guard.
I mean, grouping Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad, Laozi, and a 20th century political leader like Mao Zedong into a single cohesive theological lineup is just, it's a jarring mix.
It is highly unconventional. And just as a reminder for the listener, we're not endorsing any political viewpoints here, right-wing or left-wing.
Right, exactly. We were strictly looking at the text impartially to see what the author was trying to do.
Exactly. And if we analyze the mechanics of this ideological blending impartially, we can see a very deliberate architectural strategy at play.
Okay, break that down for me.
Well, Lifechanyuan is not asking followers to choose one path over another, which is the standard exclusive model for most ideological movements, right?
Yeah, usually it's our way is the only way.
Right. But they are attempting a complete unification of global worldviews.
So they're treating these historical figures almost like an open source software library.
Oh, that's an interesting way to look at it.
Like, instead of adopting the entire operating system of Christianity or Buddhism or Taoism, the author extracts a specific string of functional code from each one to build a custom framework.
That captures the mechanism perfectly. They isolate what they view as the core functional virtue of each figure.
Right.
They take transcendent wisdom from the Buddha, absolute devotion and faith from Muhammad, the systemic flow of the universe from Laozi, and based purely on their specific internal reading of the symbol empathy for the vulnerable from Mao Zedong.
Got it.
By decoupling these virtues from their extensive historical or dogmatic baggage, the movement constructs a customized, all-encompassing philosophical framework.
I mean, the strategic advantage of that modular approach is massive.
It really is.
By incorporating universally recognized figures from vastly different cultural backgrounds, they basically create multiple entry points for recruitment.
Exactly. It casts a very wide net.
Yeah, regardless of a person's cultural or geographical background, they'll find a familiar anchor in this text. It lowers the barrier to entry because it doesn't require a potential follower to abandon the figures they already revere. It simply asks them to integrate that pre-existing reverence into this new, larger cosmic system.
It is a brilliantly efficient way to build a bridge to a global audience.
Truly.
The author is essentially claiming that all of these seemingly disparate historical figures were actually just holding different pieces of the same cosmic puzzle.
Oh, I like that.
And the Lifechanyuan era, they argue, is the first time the puzzle has been fully assembled for humanity to see.
Okay, so we have this blueprint for a cosmic reset that harmonizes the weather. We have a daily lifestyle that turns economic marginalization into heroism, and an open source theology designed to appeal to everyone on Earth.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. But we have to return to the core paradox we started with in that empty field.
Ah, yes. The resources.
The logistics of actually executing this vision. How does a movement openly possessing zero resources plan to enact any of this global change?
Well, the manifesto addresses this paradox directly. They do not hide their lack of resources. They actually make it their primary weapon.
Wait, really?
Yeah, the text openly admits they possess no power, no wealth, and no land.
They literally have nothing on the ledger.
Nothing physical now.
But their stated arsenal consists solely of rational thought and strength from the heart.
Right.
They claim this specific internal power transcends time and space and is capable of, moving mountains and transforming the ordinary into the miraculous.
It's a very poetic framing.
Yeah. They describe themselves as fearless warriors and as eagles soaring above stormy seas, entirely undeterred by raging winds or quaking earth.
Which is very evocative.
And that imagery actually brings us to the title of the manifesto itself. Infinite beauty lies in perilous heights.
Right, the perilous heights. To understand how rational thought and strength from the heart are supposed to function as actual world-changing weapons, we need to look at how belief structures create real-world value. Think of their approach like a decentralized digital currency.
Like crypto.
Exactly. A cryptocurrency has no physical vault. It is not backed by gold. and it isn't regulated by a central bank.
Right, it's just code.
Its power comes entirely from a decentralized, shared belief in the ledger.
So if enough people agree the underlying code has value, it suddenly wields immense real-world economic power.
Exactly.
The collective belief itself becomes the tangible asset.
Precisely. The manifesto is attempting to mint a new spiritual currency.
Wow.
It asserts that material wealth vanishes like smoke, while spiritual wealth shines eternally.
Which makes sense if you're trying to appeal to everyday people.
Right, because in a world where many people feel crushed by economic pressures, rising costs of living, and endless information overload, the traditional currencies of money and political influence feel hopelessly locked away behind insurmountable walls.
Yeah, if you are at the bottom of the current societal structure, being told you have to acquire millions of dollars in political leverage to change the world is completely paralyzing.
It feels impossible.
It totally feels impossible.
But by flipping the script, this text completely devalues the currency of the current power structures.
Okay, I see.
It empowers the disenfranchised by telling them the very things they lack. Money and land are actually obsolete relics of a dying era.
So they don't even need them anyway.
Exactly. The true capital required to build the future is rational thought and the strength of the heart, resources that are universally accessible regardless of your bank balance.
So the eagle soaring above the stormy sea isn't vulnerable because it lacks a physical nest.
No, not at all.
It is untouchable because it operates in a domain the storm cannot even reach.
That's it.
The peril isn't a threat to them. The peril is the validator that they are climbing higher than anyone else.
It's brilliant reframing. The entire framework relies on convincing people that their internal conviction is a stronger, more enduring building material than concrete.
So to kind of recap our dive into this manifesto today, because we've covered a lot of ground.
We really have.
We explore a text that promises a utopian Lifechanyuan era where human morality literally physically harmonizes with planetary ecosystems to create kind weather.
Which is still wild to think about.
Right. And we analyze the rigorous lifestyle that turns the daily rejection of worldly materialism into a heroic spiritual ascent.
Yep, the cognitive reframing of struggle.
Exactly. We also broke down the highly unconventional pantheon that unifies diverse historical figures into a single functional operating system.
The open source theology.
Yeah, the open source theology. And finally, we examined how the text arms its celestial academicians with nothing but rational thought and the strength of the heart, treating belief itself as the ultimate currency.
It's an incredibly cohesive architecture when you step back and look at it. It challenges the fundamental assumptions we make about how movements gain traction and sustain themselves.
It really does. Which leaves you, the listener, with a pretty complex question to consider as you observe the power dynamics in the world around you today.
It certainly does.
So what should we be taking away from this architectural blueprint?
Well, I'd say if this manifesto is correct in claiming that rational thought and the strength of the heart are sufficient to transform the ordinary into the miraculous, without a single drop of material wealth,
Yeah.
we have to deeply reevaluate the true source of human progress.
How do you mean?
Well, our grandest societal shifts, ultimately driven by the accumulation of land, money, and concrete,
Yeah.
as standard historical narratives often teach us.
That's what we usually think, yeah.
Right? Or are the most profound changes in human history driven by the sheer, unwavering force of a unified belief system, a collective ledger of the heart willing to stand in an empty field, defy the storm, and build a completely new reality out of thin air.